We're Batman at 89.
Hello, and welcome once again to Bat Minute 89, the podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and pour baffling amounts of affection upon Tim Burton's 1989 Batman movie, 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
I am another one of them, John Parker, and that was a very sweet introduction.
Yeah, it was one of the ones I had to make up on the spot, so I'm a bit like, what am I going to do? And I came up with something that actually kind of works, so it's like, hey, thank God.
You're supposed to pretend that we write all of this. We script it from beginning to end.
Oh yeah, it's usually shipped in from David Mamet. He usually writes the intros. And once again, today we're joined by our guest from Monday, who's here all week, Omar Najam.
Hello, how's it going? What a great week to be on.
Oh, so thanks
Hey.
for coming back. I say coming back. I mean, of course we keep up the illusion that you've been here, and then you left, and then you came back for Wednesday.
Yeah. I had to run grab the scripts from Mamet. Yeah. Yeah. And then I had to fetch him a latte, and then I got back here. Yeah.
But today we're here to talk about minute 110. Almost said minute 10. Oof, I went
Minute 10, going all the way back.
But yeah, minute 110 begins with the Joker and Vicki doing a little moonlight dance, as they have been for quite some time. And it ends 1 minute later with the Joker taking a bell to the face, much like, another character from just the last minute, but in a slightly different manner. Slightly different, but not all that different. Let's jump on in. So we do have the continuation of the line, the Joker started with, it's as if we were made for each other, Beauty and the Beast. And then he does this nice little twist on it where he's like, of course, if anyone else calls you Beast, I'll rip their lungs out. Which is...
Yeah, that was weird. That was a very strange... it was like lung-threatening terror here, right? Like, well, I just thought it was a peculiar threat. Like, because he won't kill them in any normal fashion. No, it's the Joker. He rip their lungs out. It's a bit like Vikings.
Yeah.
Or like the TV show Vikings. Have you seen where they do the Blood Eagle? Which I think turns out isn't a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a myth.
I've actually not watched Vikings, but I have watched The Norsemen, the kind of comedy spin on the Vikings. And they also...
Do they do a Blood Eagle?
They also have the Blood Eagle in that, yeah.
How do you make that funny?
It's a shockingly violent comedy. Like it's literally, you see people get like chopped in two. It's great. It's amazing because it's literally because you set up the whole, the characters of these Vikings. They're supposed to be kind of likable and stuff, and yet you see them go off and pillage, and they actually slaughter people and stuff. And you're still supposed to be like, oh no, they're funny guys as well.
That must have been the hardest pitch. It must have been so difficult to walk into a room and be like, I've got a comedy. What's it about? Murderers. Like, I guess it like a Coen Brothers thing? Nope. Historical murderers.
I think it might have been a cultural thing, because it's like in America or the UK, that would be impossible to pitch. But it's like a Swedish show. So I think it might have been just like, of course we'll make that. That sounds hilarious. And I was like, yeah,
I mean, for
right ahead.
us, just a few days ago, we were complaining about Friends being too edgy. So yeah, I think for us, it might be a little outside of that scope.
As soon as we're done with this, I'm seeking this show out. This sounds amazing.
Oh, it's on UK Netflix. 6 episodes, half an hour long. It's a pretty easy binge watch if that's your thing.
Oh, this is perfect. And as a fan of the show Vikings, I'm sure I'll get even more out of it. Yeah. Actually, if anyone listening doesn't know what a Blood Eagle is, it's a myth. Well, some people say it happened. Some people say it's a myth. Vikings to execute people. Apparently, there's a painting of it. Is it, Niall? Or there's some kind of etching. They would break the ribs on someone's back with an axe and pull the lungs out of their back, and put them on their shoulders like wings. So that's what I thought of when the Joker said that. The way my mind works is obviously wrong.
There's no clean way to do that. What the Joker says. I don't think you're wrong.
Exactly. Yeah. Like what? It's peculiar. It's very strange because any normal person would just be like, I'd kill him, but no, this is the Joker. He's got to think of something really weird to do.
The thing is, though, and we actually mentioned this way back in like minute 6 or something like that I think this is a form of callback because actually, this minute is like this is the minute of the callbacks that we've been kind of getting throughout the movie. Something will be mentioned once and then it'll be mentioned and repeated somewhat later on. Because the first time we saw Jack Napier was when he was watching Harvey Dent's speech way back when. And then, as you might recall, he said, if this clown could touch Grissom, I'd have handed him his lungs by now. So it's a thing. It's a Jack Napier likes lung damage. And to be fair, he also did try to gas a bunch of people. So maybe he's all like, oh yeah, the lungs, that's the sweet spot. That's where you need to go for to get people.
So he's got a lung fetish.
Yep, apparently, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's a new one to me, but people like what they like.
Yeah, and then of course in the same, the same thing of like, oh, if anyone else calls you Beast, the Joker referred to Vicki as a beast earlier in the movie. Remember, he was like, oh, beautiful beast like that walking around could put steam in a man's stride. So yeah, he's like, this is a thing throughout the whole movie. Is like, it becomes a line later on, very prominently a callback to something that happened earlier.
Yeah. Well, as we know as well, he doesn't. Well, the women involved with him thus far, he doesn't really treat them as people, does he? They are things for him too. Not even sexually. Just with Vicki, it's very strange. I'm not entirely sure his full motivation. He wants to maybe sort of transform her like he was doing earlier on. But does he want to marry her? Like, what's his ultimate goal? He has taken her to a church. Yeah, what are his intentions? I am her father, and I want to know
what are your intentions with our Vicki?
Have her back by 10.
I think it might be a bit more like I think we kind of covered earlier. It was like, oh well, she's like a fresh canvas for him that he can. As a person, like, I don't get much of a sexual vibe. It was weird considering it's Jack Nicholson, but it's kind of more like when you watch the TV show Hannibal, and he had these almost fetishistic level obsession with Will Graham, and there were some people online who were like, oh this is Hanagram, they called the Tumblr ship, and it's like, oh, Will and Hannibal forever, like they should be a couple, but I never got a sexual vibe from that. So I think like Hannibal Lecter was so psychotic, he went beyond sexual urges. He's more like, no, I love him in a manner that I just want to toy with him and just want to be and mess around with this guy. I think it's the same with the Joker. Like, he's more like, I'm not planning to have sex with this woman. It's more like, yeah, it's just a new plaything for me to bat around and do what I want with.
Yeah. Got the same vibe myself. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah. Also, as another little nod to the Joker's intense narcissism, the fact that he considers himself the beauty while she is the beast and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of setups and payoffs, I'm going to leave a setup right now that I plan to pay off at the end of this minute. But I'm worried I'll forget, so I'm really going to try hard to not do that. But specifically with Beauty and the Beast, there's a stretch. There's a stretch joke that I'm going to go for at the end.
I was hoping you were going to burst into song. I mean, that could still happen as well.
I possibly could. Marie, the baguettes. I agree with you guys in terms of it. He seems sort of surprised when, and I don't mean to jump so far ahead. But yeah, it's an interesting situation with the Joker because I think he has a really strong fascination with Batman, and that Vicky's like his way in, and that makes it a really creepy. Like this, we just saw like a goon and a Batman fight, like a very like 1960s-esque sort of like tussle around on the ground, like not super high stakes. We threw a guy off a building. It doesn't matter. Whatever. Like we're having a good. It's just a fun day in the park.
Hell yeah.
This scene has something more psychologically going on that's so disturbing because it's a lot of like projecting wants and desires and needs to other people. And it's just a dance. That's my favorite part. Is it's just a dance, and then you see Batman for a second, and then everyone's plan changes. And there's something really weird about it. Like I want to like make jokey jokes the entire time, but this specific minute is really freaky. Like it's really creepy.
It is. You're 100% right. It is. his whole attitude is scary. It's just in a different way to say, like you get with Heath Ledger and things. It's very odd. Like I can't quite put my finger on anything he's doing.
Like the fight was directed in a way to be goofy Batman fun fighting time. Like don't worry about it. Batman will always, win the day.
Hey.
This was Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's like the movie where there's like, lots of stuff going on and it's kind of elevated and it's a comic book film. And then there's this scene where all three actors are doing it like acting. And it's kind of not out of nowhere because the film is wonderfully made. But it is like this scene is like, if you just saw it without seeing the rest of the movie, it wouldn't be a Batman scene, even though it's like the Batman scene. It would be the most psychological. It would be like it would put like Jennifer Lopez's The Cell to shame, like in terms of creepiness. Like I can't even think of a really good comparison because it's like Silence of the Lambs-esque in terms of what's going on.
Perfect. I love that comparison. That's absolutely spot on.
For some reason, though, my mind just went to just the fact you call it like Jennifer Lopez's The Cell. Like I imagine like Tarsem Sign, like the guy who directed like this really visionary director sitting listening to the show, like, oh, it's Jennifer Lopez's movie, is it? I slaved over that damn movie, man.
That's going to be on the next release of it. I'll say Jennifer Lopez's The Cell.
The only reason I know Hitchcock films is because I see him for a second in the background. If he wanted to be known for The Cell, he would have put himself in the movie somewhere. That's it. That's my entire rule. As a director myself, that's my rule.
He should have played Jennifer Lopez. Like that was his whole... I do, because I also had it like, earlier when you said it's just a fun day in the park. I do want to see a Batman poster as well. It's just like the quotes from critics. One of them is like, "It's just a fun day in the park, Omar." And it's like, oh, this guy Omar, he says it's a lot of fun. We should go to see this thing.
A wonderful romp. Yeah.
Except for this one scene that turns really weird at the end. It's a bit like Jennifer Lopez's The Cell.
Well, speaking of a wonderful, wonderful time, I do love, Joker's he's smooth dancing here and he's kissing Vicki. He's being pretty cool. And I really like the look on her face because initially she has a kind of look of sort of a combination of despair and dejected sort of acceptance of her fate. Mm-hmm. Like there's nothing she can do. But as soon as she spies Batman in the background, her look changes completely. Her whole demeanor changes and she has a plan instantaneously. I like that. Because she starts kissing Joker back. And the look on his face, I thought, showed that maybe even he can't quite believe it. He's a bit confused. Like, does she really mean this? Or
he doesn't know what to do. Yeah.
Yeah. He was not expecting it.
But it is a weird thing, like, because we kind of brought it up like way ages back that like how deep does this guy's craziness go? Like, remember when he came into her apartment, he's like, he said to her, like, I was a man doing well with a beautiful woman. When we know, like, no, he was just this horrible terrorist clown guy who came in to try to abduct a woman. And we're like, does he know? Does he, in the prism of his mind, does he think that was actually going well? Or is he just joking around because he's the Joker and he knows it?
Well, that's what you do, isn't it? You kidnap a woman, you talk to her exclusively, essentially at gunpoint. That's how you do a date, isn't it? I mean, if you're telling me I can't do that, I mean, what the hell? How am I even supposed to meet a woman these days?
But his reaction here, when she actually starts giving affection back, is a look of, like, complete stun. Like, he's really just like, wait, what? What, she's actually enjoying this now? So it would make us think that, like, no, of course he always knew that she absolutely despised him.
Yeah,
but so
he knew. I think he's crazy... in like he'll go to extremes, but he's not crazy in like a wild card kind of way, which is amusing because he's a Joker.
Yeah.
But he's not just like wild, is he? He's more calculating.
Yeah.
Interesting. So he's narcissistic, but doesn't have like a narcissistic personality disorder, in the sense that he is aware that this is not like he's aware that this is a construction he's making. Like he's putting this reality. Because he really is, like, when she kisses his arm for the first time, he kind of freezes. Like, he's scared for a second.
Yeah.
He's really confused. He's completely taken out of his element. And then he kind of just goes with it, but he seems uneasy. Like
maybe he just assumed nobody would ever show him affection again. And he's like, oh, maybe that's the way to turn him back. They didn't. They don't have to try and kill him. They can win him with love.
We have to end the third one with the Moana reference as well, because Batman 89 and Moana apparently are the same film. Like up until this point. Like we're really and I know our first example of them being the same movie was just this fake casting we made up of The Rock, but still within the universe of this podcast. Yeah, what a Moana scene. What a beautiful little for a second.
Yes.
That'd be just
Moana Minute coming soon as well. We'll do comparisons between the two as we go.
Because I have seen videos like on YouTube from like Lindsay Ellis where she talks about Moana, where it's just like Moana is just a remake of Pocahontas, and she literally puts them side by side and goes like, look, it's the same movie. And at that point, you're like, holy crap, it is the same movie. It's almost exactly identical. But like, to come in and be like, well, get this, Lindsay. 1989 Batman is also Moana.
So it's also Pocahontas. Oh.
Wow, Pocahontas was all right, there we go. That makes
Of course, who was in Pocahontas but Christian Bale. Oh my god, it's all connected.
Oh, everything's connected.
Yeah. And
as always.
That is incredible.
Yeah. It turns out you can just link anything together if you just go on enough wild tangents.
The human brain is very plastic.
But I will also say like another little shout out to Danny Elfman, because like I do love, like we were talking about, the kind of chaotic, swooping, waltzing music before when the fight was going on, but now the fight's been resolved. It's gone down to a very refined, sort of low key version of the same waltz. I do love the way it ends, and that sort of, it's kind of petering off, and then as soon as Batman's seen walking past, there is a kind of real, like a real atmospheric, like, oh, something's about to happen here. And, stuff is about to go down, basically. And,
I want you to do more sound effects now, and we'll just insert them throughout the episodes.
I feel like I'm watching Police Academy. This is great.
Oh my god, but let's remake Police Academy as a podcast.
That's a great idea. That's a really good idea.
Well, it can't be any worse than most of the Police Academy movies.
I'll do it if we can exclusively just do Police Academy 6, because that's the best one.
Oh god. How did we even get here from your brief musical thing? I was going to mention something as well, actually, about the kissing. I forgot.
I do love it because again, this, like we mentioned that Vicky's only here because of like a last minute rewrite. Like for the longest time, this finale was just Batman and the Joker, and it was because apparently Vicki or Kim Basinger was having a relationship with John Peters at the time, the producer, and he claims that he rewrote the entire final act with her, and that's why Vicky's here. And I think we kind of poo-pooed it last week, where we're like, well, she doesn't do much, though, really, does she? It's more, you could almost say that's Kim Basinger was like, I want more screen time. Because she doesn't end up contributing much beyond providing a brief distraction to the Joker, which, theoretically wouldn't have been necessary anyway. But, to be fair to Kim Basinger, again, she's killing it in this one little bit of stuff she gets to do. Like, she's genuinely, actually quite funny with this. Because she's kissing his arm. And then she also gets a bit of like something stuck on her tongue, or she's just like repulsed by the fabric, and she kind of goes to take a bit of thread off, and she's kind of slight retching face and stuff. And
well, have you guys ever seen that before? Because I never noticed until we broke it down.
No.
This is the first time.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? Like, do you think maybe that's real? Because nobody mentions it in the commentary. It's not on anything I've found. Do you think maybe it actually happened and they just were like, leave it in?
See, I'd like to think Kim did it because, like, no, it's just she's a good actress. She thought to do that, and if it was just like, no, she genuinely was a bit repulsed by the fabric.
Well, do you think it's like something from the jacket, or do you think Jack is just a real hairy guy?
She's like,
yeah.
He's got like the arm hair just piercing through both the shirt and the jacket,
constantly shedding too. It's just like it's like a porcupine sort of situation.
But
it's like the X-Men Spike,
Jack Nicholson in the X-Men. Make that happen as well.
Yeah, but
we're supplying Hollywood with so many great ideas here. Come on.
But I do love the because this is classic. This is a Gomez Adam move as well, like the kissing the entire arm. And it's just like, I just enjoy bringing up Gomez Adams at any given point, because like I genuinely think, and I'll defend this to the death, that like the best role model out there for men is Gomez Adams, because he's just
Absolutely.
There's nothing, because the guy, wonderfully eccentric, man who embraces his own eccentricity, seems to be very friendly to all people, indulges in, has an interest in his children's hobbies and encourages them to go off and do their own thing. And a guy who absolutely adores his wife and just treats her like a princess, or treats her like a queen. And everything about Gomez Adams, like he's athletic, he's educated, he's a fantastic dresser. There's no better person. It's like him and it's Agent Cooper from Twin Peaks. Like that's your two pinnacles of like if you have a baby boy, just be like, this is what you want. If you want to grow up to be like a man.
We're raising you on Adam's Family and Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
That's the best combination. That's amazing.
I say, for boys, like a girl, anyone, just put them up at the pinnacle of just what a human being should be like. This guy,
Well,
he's
yeah.
fantastic.
Well, I grew up with that first Addams Family movie. I'm not old enough to have grown up with the show, but I grew up with that first movie, and I would say that probably imprinted on my mind. That's how I assume romance is and should be. Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm as good as Gomez at this, but I try.
If you are a Gomez or you're a Morticia, I do hope that you find your Gomez or Morticia. I completely agree with that.
It's lovely, isn't it? Oh, bless.
But and one thing that really struck me here as well, though, as Vicki goes to get the Joker's attention, she does this. She looks at him and does this, a very affectionate, sort of slightly subservient, like, Mr. Joker, and instantly I got Harley Quinn. This is where Harley Quinn came from. This is like, because even the way she said, kind of Mr. Joker, it's 2 steps away from Mr. J. Like it's so close to it. And then of course Harley Quinn's a character who constantly pours, buckets of affection upon the Joker, to which, this Joker is just more baffled. And the other versions of the Joker is just more, he's either sort of puts up with it for a bit or is completely dismissive of the affection. But you can see like this, I'd say like maybe this scene, Alicia from earlier, and then I know the classic, inspiration that Paul Dini always says for Harley Quinn was Arlene Sorkin's guest spot on Days of Our Lives, where she played a clown. Whereas, actually, interesting enough, she's a clown, shows up, in Suicide Squad, everyone complained, they're like, oh, Harley's in pink and blue, where Harley Quinn's colors are red and black. What's this about? Arlene Sorkin's appearance in Days of Our Lives, she's wearing pink and blue, so I guess that's where that came from.
Right back to the origin.
Yeah, but I can imagine that's all like when they were making up the basis for the character. Beyond when they had like, oh, we just want a female henchman for the Joker. It might have all just come from stringing this all together, and it was just like, yeah, there we go. It's just what Kim Basinger was doing, a bit of that abusive relationship he had with Alicia, and that clown woman, the woman we get to do the voice for the character does. And there we go. We got a character now.
I thought the exact same thing. It instantly came to mind, and then it dawned on me after a few seconds. Oh, wait a minute. Which one came first? And I had to then think about it for a second. I was like, oh, hang on. Is it referencing it? Did this come first? Obviously, I then put it 2 and 2 together, but it did throw me off. I instantly just thought of Harley.
Oh, no.
Harley came 5 years later?
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that? Right?
Yeah.
Like 90, I can't remember. 93 is when Batman started on TV?
Yeah. It always,
I might have to look it up.
Remember, it'll have been after this, because the animated series was made to sort of be like a companion piece to Batman Returns, where like, well, we have this film coming out, make a cartoon show.
Right.
That's actually got nothing really to do with it beyond having a few of the same characters in it.
And heck, why don't you just introduce a bunch of new, who soon will be fan favorite villains? Just, whatever. Just
And like, arguably, just do a better job than any of the movies.
just do the best Batman thing. That'd be great to advertise our movie. Thank you.
It'd be great if like Bruce Timm and Paul Dini pulled out the actual memo they got from the studio, and it was just that. It's like, yes, make us a show better than the movies, where you can just create all these new characters and stuff.
Hey.
Anyway. But again though, Kim she's just on fire here, doing the whole like, you're.
She's doing such a great job, and I need it to be said that she is making up for Batman in this scene
Oh.
or in this minute, because Batman, who sticks to the shadows, who like appears, and Batman begins, I'm right behind you and stuff like that. He is just walking. Like, he's just going for a stroll the long way around. And she sees him, and it's kind of like the alien from Signs, where you're just like, yeah, we see you, pal. Like, you're right there.
Yeah, he's not really... He doesn't need to be stealthy at this point, I don't think. Like,
I
Joker
guess
knows
not,
he's there.
That's true. It's not a surprise. I just loved seeing, like, her POV shot of just, like, him just, like, wandering...
Just having a little walk around.
It was almost
Maybe
like the
cramped.
Bigfoot footage.
Yes.
You can just see like all of a sudden like smoke curling in from the side, and he's just sitting having a cigarette, just going like, "No, I need to sit down for a second." It's been I literally just crashed the plane and then had to walk up a bunch of stairs and then fight like 3 guys. I say I technically only had to fight 1 guy. The other 2 kind of took care of themselves.
Oh no, that's bad. Oh, in this one, though, we get one of my favourite lines now. Because after she's just said, Mr. Joker, you say such beautiful things. Then you get the ultimate line. She says, and you're so powerful and purple.
Yep.
So he's Grimace? Like, what's going on? Grimace is based on Jack Nicholson. Fact. It's a very strange line. I mean, I love purple. Who doesn't love purple? Colour of royalty. But... pretty peculiar.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's a guy who likes dressing in purple, so she's like, "Yeah, I'm admiring the tailorship that you didn't see me be repulsed by like having to take a little bit off my tongue." But she's like, "Yeah, I'm into this whole purple getup you constantly wear."
Color, great. Texture, not so much, sir. We got to talk about your fabric. Those specific choices I'm not quite sure I feel about.
See, I'm enjoying the fabric. I can't stand a suit that's sort of shiny. Like those... they do like silver suits like that, a lot of grey suits. And they're kind of like a shiny texture. I don't like that. I like this kind of thing. This looks like a heavy material. It looks well made. So screw you, Vicky. It's nice.
Oh, yeah. It does look like protective in the harsh bell tower winds that are bound to be up there. But we kind of had a brief discussion off mic about this, but because this also seems like purple, and she doesn't really like, oh, I love purple, and then slides down his body off screen into where the crotch area would be, and like not to get too crude, but. Mention of something purple and then sliding down there. It's kind
and then his reaction.
Yeah, it's kind of like, is this a fellatio joke? Basically, is this Batman turned a bit blue? Is that what's happened here?
Blue bat. I like that.
How did that squeak past the sensors?
Yeah.
Like how?
Yeah.
Like what did they have to like? Did he just like bang like a pot when that like shot came up and they looked away and they looked back and they were just like, oh, this all seems fine. This is good for kids.
I do that if I'm like playing someone a song that I really like, but there's one line in it that's terrible and cringeworthy.
John Mayer
that'll
song.
ruin
Yes,
it for
please
them.
go on.
So when that bit of the song comes up, I'll just turn to them like, do you want a drink or anything? I'll go get you a can of Coke. No, okay. Oh, we'll just listen to the song again.
I had to do that once when I would have been like 10 years old when Austin Powers came out. And I remember I had the VHS, and I remember my mom was outside painting one of the doors when I was watching it. And the fact that they had a character in it called A Lot of Vagina, and I kept every scene she was in, I just kept constantly having to make noise so that name wouldn't come out. And then later on that day, my mom was like, I heard that every time. It's like, I'm not an idiot.
She knew what you were doing.
Yeah, totally.
It makes it even worse. You're like pouring out like a bucket of Legos each time. And it's like, no, I knew, and I also now know that you were uncomfortable and didn't want me to know. Like, you gave me all the information I needed.
That always used to happen when I was a kid as well, and I was watching comedy shows with my parents. Anything that came on that was inappropriate, they would do the same thing. You'd be watching it and they'd make a sex joke or something, and I'm like 9 or 10, and you could just see them get really visibly uncomfortable. My dad would be like, "I'm going to get a whiskey," just leaves the room very quickly. I'm just sat there on my own then, like it's kind of strange. But is the implication then that she is actually
I think it's
going to do that as a distraction.
I think that's what and then that kind of makes it even worse, because like we're joking about Batman just taking a walk. What if he just hung back and he was like, I want to see how far this goes? Like, that's just,
he's a voyeur.
He's just really like, I might not get this opportunity again. And then it was just the revelation that the whole time that Batman was actually a bit of a dick. And he was just like, I want to see how far this goes.
Oh, no. Don't ruin our hero.
Well, I mean, thankfully that doesn't happen. Thankfully, something completely different happens.
Oh,
Yeah, what we're saying is that it could have. What if it was terrible? And the answer is we don't have to worry about it, because it wasn't terrible. It was perfect, because then he is suddenly there.
Yeah.
Which he could have been. He could have come in early. I guess he was waiting for the setup.
Yeah.
I guess he was waiting for a clear setup.
I mean, arguably, he could have just, like, as soon as he was done with Bell Tower Goon, he could have just marched straight over to the Joker and just done this in the first place. But
it has to be a cramp. That's the only explanation I'll accept, is because, like, he just flipped up. He's got all the adrenaline from defeating Bell Tower Goon.
Yeah.
And then stands up and then just kind of like, I just imagine him like, then like almost falling back down and going, oh God, my calf. And like, just kind of like, 1 second, Vic.
Yeah, you know, you're supposed to walk it off or put your foot up against like the wall and try and sort of bend, you know? So
Maybe he went to go get like a banana.
Yeah. That is clearly what he's doing. We are 100% on the money.
But I will.
Although Oh, sorry, no.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, just and going back to the I Love Purple bit, like we're talking about, like earlier, like kind of this minute or last minute, but the fact that Kim could have apparently helped John Peters rewrite this entire thing, and at that point, Kim was having a sort of dalliance with John Peters. But the fact then she went on to, have a fling with Prince as well. And we all know a guy who loves purple is Prince. Do you think he saw this and he was like, ooh, this is the woman for me? Like he's like, he wasn't sold the rest of the time, but he's like, oh, she really likes purple, right?
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. It's like, the film.
Maybe that was like wow.
The movie is foreshadowing life. Yeah. Maybe that was how, Kim came on to, maybe Prince hadn't seen the movie. Kim came on to him, and this was her chat up line. She's like, I'm gonna use that thing we wrote for the movie, and he's just like,
that's amazing.
She's just like,
or like
Mr. Prince, you're so the songs you write, and you're so powerful, and it's like,
and purple,
and purple. We should all try that line out. It might work.
But and also I just had a little quick thing on, because talking about Kim and Jack Nicholson obviously having to work together, and this would have been a very intimate little moment between them. I just kind of got curious. It's like, what was Kim's attitude towards Jack Nicholson? And apparently, once again, as 99.999% of people who worked on this movie loved Jack Nicholson, except one guy. And she said, her quote about Jack Nicholson is, he's crazy. I love his honesty, because honesty is everything. He's really straightforward. He's the most highly sexed human being I've ever met. He's just the devil. And it's like, okay, I think you're missing out part of the story here, Kim. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
That's so. If someone reviewed anyone I knew that way, I would get a restraining order. Like, that's a really intense recommendation and review.
Yeah, oh my God. Nobody you know should be described in those terms, let's be honest. I mean, we have said, we've discussed many times about Jack Nicholson. Is he sexy? Is he not sexy? It's a debate going on. I would argue that she thinks he's sexy.
It seems so. I mean, Omar, what's your opinion? Jack Nicholson, do you reckon he's a sexy guy, or have you ever got that vibe from him?
Like, for me personally?
Yeah.
No. I have never, and I feel bad, I guess, saying that about another person. But like I mean, I guess my taste in terms of that spectrum of people is like more of like an Anthony Stewart Head situation.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, like I think one of the first times I saw Jack Nicholson something was The Shining, so it's kind of hard for me to get around that.
I do not.
So-
Yeah,
I like that you were the first person who was kind of nice about it. It's like I feel bad saying about another person, but like the amount of people we've had on have been like, "Good God, no!" and we're just quite happy to dump on him. Yeah, well, we'll leave that quote as it. People, the audience members can interpret that quote whichever way they might. So.
Devilishly sex-driven is like the review for like Black Snake Moan. Like it's not what I'd expect for a human being. That's a lot.
It should be the tagline to Batman.
It
Put it on
changes
the
everything,
poster.
doesn't it? I said it was a walk in the park, but apparently for everyone else, it's devilishly sex-driven. So that's
Just let's mock up the Batman poster. Just take the exact poster and put that at the top. That's some photoshopping I can do. Where the hell are we in this minute?
But Batman's about to bounce. That was the.
Oh, yeah, because I had something to say about this, right? Batman pops up from out of nowhere, and he delivers the worst. It's the worst delivery of this line you could ever do. Like, I love Michael Keaton, but he just goes, you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? It's like, that's not how you deliver the line.
He introduces it. He does like, "Excuse me, have you ever danced?" As if he's asking for directions in the street. Like,
Yeah. At least put
he
some
like hands over
pizzazz
like
on it.
he like hands over like a pamphlet that says like, "Have you ever danced?" I just want to take a quick second of your time. I'm not going to step inside. I just want to stand here in the doorway, ma'am, and ask you very politely, "Have you ever danced with the devil in pale moonlight?"
Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior, Batman?
but the notable thing I took from that though is that, and I think for like the rest of the scene, he doesn't disguise the voice anymore. There's no like, I want you to tell all your friends about me. This is just like, "Excuse me, this is my Bruce Wayne voice." Like, it's all down now. There's no like, he's about to pretty much reveal who he is to the Joker.
Well, it's funny you say that, though, because it's here. It's pretty much here in the 86 draft where Joker does find out who he is.
Yeah.
Because Joker's got the upper hand. It's completely the other way around. And he's got Bats beaten, and he removes his mask. And he realizes who it is because he goes, "Oh my, aren't we pretty?" And he goes, "I know you. You're the rich boy." He's like, and then there's a whole little exchange where Batman calls him a madman, and Joker's like, "Oh, well, you're not exactly the picture of mental health, are you?" And Batman calls him a murderer, and Joker comes back with, "Bruce, we're both murderers. Think how many people you've killed by letting me live."
And then Batman goes, "Nuh-uh," and then the Joker goes, "Yeah."
It's a bit like the Batman Begins thing again, though. He's like, "Well, Batman, you've killed these people because you've not stopped me."
Yeah. It's
your fault.
Yeah, it's always the perpetual argument. Like, well, should Batman just kill the Joker? Because he is arguably killing more people by not killing this one guy. And it's although the Batman killing the Joker is of course a thing we may get to in the next week or so.
Shut up.
But well, at the point I was gonna. Oh no, yeah, because it's just been at that point in that '86 draft as well. That's the second time someone successfully gets Batman's cowl off him as well. And it's like in that first movie, in that first version of the script, he is useless at keeping that identity. 'Cause that's the one. Remember when Vicki Vale knew Knox figured out who he was first of all. Then Vicki
About
Vale,
10 people.
Yeah, and then during the museum escape, he got the mask taken off him successfully in that, which is they fixed it in this movie. And then at the end, I think it's basically he's so exhausted from the plane crash that he gets up to the top, and the Joker's like easily kind of knocks him about a bit, and then just takes the mask off, and it's like, this Batman, he's not. I can't imagine him being in a sequel because you think he seems to be so useless at it. He would have given up after that first movie.
That would be a great ending to this. He's just like, "I don't think I'm cut out for this." It's like, I'm going to just get rid of all this stuff and call it a day.
It's a bit weird. Like,
I just like being rich.
Like, you had to be in your first Batman movie to have him literally be at the point of like, I'm not cut out for this. Like, you never got at the end of Die Hard. You didn't think John McClane was like, "Ooh, I can't wait to get back into to take care of some other robbers and stuff." You kind of got the vibe at the end of that. There was a broken man just barely scraped by, which is what that '86 draft is like. It's like,
Yeah.
Every Captain America movie should end with Cap being like, "Cool, are we good now? Are we done? Like, I don't want to do this. Like,
Please, no more, please.
I will say, as we're wrapping up, I would like to deliver on the setup that I had before.
Yes.
If that's all right. Great. So there's a Beauty and the Beast line, and then the Joker is thrown towards a bell.
Oh.
That's it.
I love that. No, that paid off tenfold. I wasn't expecting it. Thank you.
I can already hear Reddit just firing off.
I don't think
going down conspiracy theory.
I don't think we're popular enough to even be thought about on Reddit. So,
we'll see. We'll see. We'll go on Reddit and there'll be 50 threads like, "What the hell is this show?"
it could be. I'd be terrified if we went on and just looked up Batman '89 and they're already talking about us. But it's like, oh, you didn't want to know what they're saying about you. You should have just walked away when you had the chance, man.
That's the internet.
Never read
for
the
you.
comments.
But yeah, of course, we do get Batman and punches Joker straight in the face after the old Dance of the Devil thing. And as we said before, this is the minutes of callbacks. It seems to me like that's could be interpreted as the theme of the movie. Maybe this was all intentionally. We were doing callbacks this whole time. Is that something in your past may inherently come back to haunt you in some way? And then that is
Wow.
The death of the Waynes is an act that haunts Bruce Wayne his entire life, but then of course comes back to haunt Jack Napier in that he killed this family, and then years later that same that kid he left behind would throw him into a vat of chemicals, and then show up to kick his ass even more at the end. So. It's just throw it out there. That's probably one of the themes of the movie, I guess.
A cautionary tale.
Yeah. Cautionary tale. Don't do anything because it may in fact come back. To
just don't do anything.
to sit and watch Batman, and you're done.
On loop. And listen to this show, obviously.
Of course. I'm sure that was what
saying.
the intentional subtext of the Sam Ham was. Like, make sure to listen to the show. The podcast analyzing it minute by minute in 30 years' time.
Yeah. I mean, we are on the new upcoming releases. We are an extra on the Blu-ray, aren't we? Yeah. That's not in my head at all. That's not a dream.
Yeah, well, it is like on all the when we burn every episode, every like 120 odd episodes of this show onto disc, and then staple them to the back of every Blu-ray copy. Yeah.
Through our contacts at Amazon. Are we going to break into the factory and do that?
Oh, keep it on your head, John. I mean, this is not on air.
Well,
man.
if we are gonna break into the factory and staple them, we'd better get a move on. So we should probably head off into the dark night. And before we do, though, Omar, where can our good listeners find you and your work online?
You can find me, if you'd like to contact and chat with me, on Twitter at Omar Najam, as well as on Instagram, Omar Najam Film. And I also am the GM of a podcast, an RPG podcast called Thank You for Questing, which you can find on podcast available sites and stuff. And also, I'm going to give a quick shout out, if that's all right, to a previous guest of yours. That's a good friend of mine, Dale Kingsmill. She has an ongoing web series that follows the lunar cycle for a very specific paranormal reason, which I highly recommend checking out. So go ahead and head over to her YouTube channel to watch that. It's really good. That's Monarch's Factory on YouTube, and it's really, really good. I'm not just saying it because we're friends. It's really, really, really good. So I can't recommend that enough.
It is great. All your stuff's great, and that's great. So check out both of those, everybody. And check us out everywhere. You probably know by now. Just look us up on Facebook, the Batminute89 Listeners Society. That's the best place to chat to us, or Twitter, at Batminute89. And give us a review on iTunes. That'd be very nice of you. Thank you. And join us again on Friday. We will have more Batman. Minute 111. 111. Is that some kind of numerological thing, Niall? Probably. It's probably some kind of magic thing.
You're asking the wrong guy here, John.
I thought you were an expert at numerology. What the hell's wrong with you? Yeah. Anyway, I'll do some research on that in the meantime. On Thursday morning, I'll be researching that. So see you then, everyone. See you on Friday.
Next time, cackling cavities. It's a long-awaited confrontation between Bat and Clown, and furious fists are taking Joker to town. But what dental drollery does this demented deviant have to discharge? Find out Friday. Same Bat Pod,
different Bat Minute.